On the morning of October 1, 1987, Southern California was jolted by a powerful earthquake that struck the Los Angeles area, causing widespread damage and reminding residents of the ever-present threat of seismic activity in the region. The Whittier Narrows earthquake, which measured 5.9 on the Richter scale, resulted in several deaths, hundreds of injuries, and significant damage to infrastructure. This narrative explores the events surrounding the earthquake, the immediate response, and the long-term impact on earthquake preparedness in Southern California.
Southern California sits atop a complex network of geological faults, making it one of the most seismically active regions in the United States. The San Andreas Fault, the most famous of these, runs through much of California and is capable of producing massive earthquakes. However, numerous smaller faults crisscross the region, each with the potential to cause significant damage. The Whittier Narrows earthquake occurred on the Puente Hills Blind Thrust Fault, a relatively unknown fault at the time, located beneath the densely populated San Gabriel Valley. The quake's epicenter was near the city of Whittier, about 10 miles southeast of downtown Los Angeles, and it struck at a depth of approximately 9 miles, making it a shallow and potentially more destructive earthquake.
At 7:42 a.m. on October 1, 1987, the Whittier Narrows earthquake struck with little warning, shaking buildings and sending residents scrambling for cover. The quake lasted for about 20 seconds, but caused significant damage across the Los Angeles metropolitan area. Although the magnitude of the earthquake was moderate, the proximity to heavily populated areas amplified its impact. The earthquake caused the collapse of several structures, including older buildings that were not designed to withstand seismic forces. In the city of Whittier, the historic Uptown district was particularly hard hit, with many brick buildings suffering severe damage or total collapse. Homes and businesses across the region were affected, with broken windows, cracked walls, and fallen chimneys being common sights in the aftermath. The human toll of the earthquake included 8 fatalities and more than 200 injuries. Many of the injuries were caused by falling debris, broken glass, and panic during the shaking. The quake also sparked fires, gas leaks, and power outages, complicating the emergency response.
In the immediate aftermath of the earthquake, emergency services were mobilized to respond to the needs of affected communities. Firefighters, police, and medical personnel worked tirelessly to rescue those trapped in damaged buildings, treat the injured, and restore order. The response was swift, but the widespread nature of the damage meant that resources were stretched thin. One of the most challenging aspects of the response was dealing with the fires that broke out in the wake of the earthquake. Gas lines ruptured by the shaking fueled several blazes, and firefighters had to navigate damaged streets and downed power lines to reach the affected areas. In addition to the fires, power outages left many neighborhoods in darkness, further complicating rescue and recovery efforts. The earthquake also highlighted the vulnerability of Southern California's infrastructure. Bridges, overpasses, and freeways were damaged, disrupting transportation and complicating the movement of emergency vehicles. Water mains and sewer lines were ruptured, leading to localized flooding and contamination risks. The damage to utilities underscored the need for improved infrastructure resilience in a region prone to earthquakes.
The Whittier Narrows earthquake, though not as devastating as other major earthquakes in California's history, served as a critical wake-up call for the region. The damage and loss of life prompted a re-evaluation of building codes, infrastructure design, and emergency preparedness throughout Southern California. In the years following the earthquake, significant efforts were made to strengthen buildings, especially those constructed before modern seismic standards were implemented. retrofits were mandated for unreinforced masonry buildings, which had proven particularly vulnerable during the quake. These efforts aimed to reduce the risk of collapse and protect lives in future earthquakes. The disaster also led to improvements in emergency response protocols and public awareness campaigns. Residents were encouraged to prepare for earthquakes by securing heavy furniture, developing family emergency plans, and participating in regular earthquake drills. The importance of emergency kits, with supplies such as water, food, and first aid materials, was emphasized as part of individual preparedness efforts. One of the most significant outcomes of the Whittier Narrows earthquake was the increased attention to the Puente Hills Fault and other lesser-known faults in the Los Angeles area. Seismologists began studying these faults more closely, leading to a better understanding of the seismic risks facing Southern California. This research has informed subsequent earthquake preparedness efforts and has helped to identify potential future earthquake scenarios that could pose even greater risks to the region. The Whittier Narrows earthquake also underscored the need for public education about earthquake safety. The event prompted the development of programs like Shakeout, an annual earthquake drill that encourages millions of Californians to practice drop, cover, and hold-on techniques. These initiatives have helped to foster a culture of preparedness and resilience in the face of seismic threats.
The Whittier Narrows earthquake of 1987 was a moderate but impactful event that highlighted the ongoing seismic risks faced by Southern California. The earthquake caused significant damage, loss of life, and disruption, but it also spurred important changes in building codes, infrastructure design, and public preparedness. As we reflect on the lessons learned from the Whittier Narrows earthquake, we are reminded of the importance of vigilance, preparedness, and resilience in protecting communities from the ever-present threat of earthquakes. The legacy of the Whittier Narrows earthquake lives on in the ongoing efforts to make Southern California safer and more resilient in the face of future seismic events.